They said he was too slow, too old to be useful, just a relic in a job meant for someone younger. And that night, under the stadium lights, they didn't just say it, they booed him. But by the time the final whistle blew, the same crowd was on their feet, cheering, crying, because the truth about who he was had shattered every assumption. And it all began with a spilled soda and a kid in row 17. Every Friday night, rain or shine, Raymond Carson showed up 3 hours before kickoff. He wore his uniform proudly. Navy blue blazer, red cap with the stadium's crest, and a name tag that read simply, Ray. No one knew he'd been wearing it since 1981. His steps were slower now, his back slightly curved. But his eyes? His eyes never missed a thing. He stood at the base of Section 112, row after row of screaming fans, just like he had for over 40 seasons. He knew their faces, their routines, the family that always brought hot dogs from outside, the couple that argued before every game, the teenager who used a fake ticket but always smiled like it was a joke. Ray noticed everything. And he cared. But that night, something had changed. 2 young ushers stood behind him near the tunnel. "He's a dinosaur," one of them muttered. "Probably forgets where he is half the time." Ray heard them, pretended not to. When the national anthem played, Ray stood tall, but from the corner of his eye he saw a kid spill an entire soda on the steps. The ushers didn't move. They laughed. Ray didn't. He walked over, knee creaking, and began to mop it up with the small towel tucked in his back pocket. Carefully, quietly. That's when a group of fans noticed. "Hey, Grandpa Janitor, want me to spill popcorn too?" Laughter echoed through the section. Ray said nothing, just nodded and kept wiping. The heckles turned louder. Someone booed. Then another. Even the announcer, unknowingly, asked fans in Section 112 to settle down. Ray stood up, wiped his hands, and returned to his post. At halftime, one of the young ushers finally confronted him. "Ray, management wants us faster. Cleaner? You should really think about retiring." Ray didn't answer. He simply opened the inside of his blazer and pulled out a yellowed envelope, taped to it. A faded photograph of a young man in uniform, standing beside a flag. A war veteran. But before the usher could ask, the stadium roared. The second half was starting. And Ray. He quietly tucked the envelope back into his jacket. Third quarter. The home team was down by 10. A boy, maybe 7 or 8, sat in row 17 with his mom, tiny bundled in team colors, cap tilted sideways. Midway through a tense play, the kid stood up, dizzy, and collapsed. The mother screamed. Everyone around them froze. Security was focused near the field. But Ray ran. He didn't hesitate, not despite his knees, not despite the sneers. He climbed those 17 rows faster than anyone expected. Fans pulled back. Phones came out. Ray reached the child, knelt beside him, placed a hand on his forehead, and called over his shoulder. "He's having a seizure. Someone get medics, now!" The boy's body was trembling. Ray whispered calmly in the child's ear. "It's okay, kid. I've seen worse in the field. I've got you." The crowd watched in silence, all eyes on the old usher in the red cap, when the medics arrived and lifted the boy onto a stretcher. The team captain, number 82, jogged toward the edge of the field. He'd seen it all from the sideline. He pointed at Ray, then looked up into the stands and shouted, "That man saved my life once." The crowd went silent. You see, 12 years ago, that same captain, Jake Monroe, was just a kid, lost in the mountains after a hiking trip went wrong. Hypothermia was setting in. It was Ray, then a volunteer with search and rescue, who found him, carried him back, through 3 miles of snow, on his back. Jake never forgot, but he didn't know. Ray had never stopped serving. After retiring from the fire department, Ray took the usher job not for money, but to stay connected to the community, to people. When the final whistle blew and the team secured a miraculous comeback victory, Jake Monroe walked straight across the field, reporters shouted. Cameras flashed, but Jake didn't stop. He climbed into the stands, found Ray at his post, and held out the game ball. Tonight's win? It belongs to you. Ray hesitated, trembling slightly. The booze from earlier, forgotten in the weight of this moment. Jake raised Ray's arm high. The crowd rose, applause thundered across the stadium, tears welled in Ray's eyes. Not because he needed recognition, but because someone finally saw him. Ray Carson didn't come back the next week. The stadium sent out a quiet press release. After 41 years of service, Ray Carson has officially retired. But in section 112, row 17, a bronze plaque appeared. It read, "Reserved for Ray, veteran, guardian, beloved Usher." Sometimes heroes don't wear capes or hold titles. Sometimes they hold towels or game balls, and they save lives when no one's looking. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who believes in quiet heroes. And if you have a story about kindness, courage, or justice, tell us in the comments. Subscribe for more powerful real-life moments that remind us, even in the darkest corners, light finds a way. This is Relieved Stories, where every story matters.